Duskmourn has shown up with some spoilers, players started to lose their minds, and the secondary market sales started to avalanche. In today's video, we're going to take a look at some of these cards and discuss how they are going to affect the secondary market and any future deck builds that you might be thinking of. If you thought that Duskmourn was going to have an impact in the secondary market, you were absolutely right. Welcome back, everyone. MTG Moxman here, and thank you again for hanging out with me on my channel today as we discuss a video mainly about Duskmourn, but a few other impacts in the secondary market, especially the financial side of things that you need to be aware of, up on, have the knowledge to know where these markets move and the time frame in which, if you decide to dabble back into it, when you can expect to see some of these prices recede, because things are about to get a little bit nutty. Now, Wizards of the Coast, whenever they put a new set like Duskmourn out, there is direct lines of impact in the secondary market because of how Wizards of the Coast is designing cards nowadays. They are designing these cards to be utilized in Commander. Let's face it, every deck, new expansion set that comes out, they have cards that will directly be impacted and meant for Commander, okay? Because Commander is the biggest thing being played. But those Commander cards, and because of the people who want to build a Commander deck using these cards and following the new themes that Wizards of the Coast is now enhancing, it affects the secondary market. And a lot of sales just went off this weekend. It's crazy to think about. So I'm going to show you some of the spoilers in Duskmourn, of course. We're going to go over them a little bit, but I'm not showing all of them. I'm showing ones that had direct impacts in the secondary market. And I'm going to give you guys some timelines. And those timelines are when you can expect these cards to start receding in price. Some of these ones are going to be a little bit of a longer impact. You have to wait longer to see the price go down. Some, it's already too late, and that means you have to wait like past the 200, 300 day mark. But we'll talk about that. So let's start out with some of these cool cards from Duskmourn, because they are amazing cards. But the ones I'm showing you are ones that are going to have impact in the secondary market. Let's get started. So the first card I want to discuss is going to be Valgavoth's Lair, okay? This is an enchantment land with hexproof, and it says, Valgavoth's Lair enters tapped. As it enters, choose a color. You get to add 1 mana of the chosen color. So this gives you any type of mana. It comes into play tapped, so you can't use it right away, but it does have hexproof, so it is protected. So when a card like this comes out, you kind of ask yourself, we have lots of cards with this similar mechanic. The real difference being, number one, this card is not legendary. That's interesting. It's an enchantment land, which means it has impacts in a whole bunch of other things that affect enchantments. And then we look at this card and say it gives you any color, so it can be utilized in multiple decks. Now, the secondary market reaction to a card like this. Let's understand that when you looked at that card and you read it, the first thing I think is, where does this impact the reserve list? And of course, I saw the card name right away. It was Serra's Sanctum. And as soon as I started jumping over to sales, like this video was being recorded on a Sunday. My top 10 video finished last night around midnight. By the time I got this morning, woke up, had a coffee, and jumped in to look at the Valgavoth Lair card, which I had read yesterday briefly, but I was working on reserve list stuff, and I take a look at the market today. We had 63 sales, I think by the time I stopped counting, of Serra's Sanctum, various conditions. 2 local stores got sold out of the 4 copies they had, and 2 more stores I have added it immediately to a wish list asking for 8. Serra's Sanctum is already used in multiple enchantment decks. It already has a smaller supply because players don't just sell that card when they buy it. Players who build that in Commander hold on to it for a lifetime. But now you have new players coming in, and they see this enchantment land, they see the potential of using that card. And they're like, I can put that with Serra's Sanctum, this is going to be great, and I want to add this stuff together. And the sales, they go high. 60, 70 sales in a day is insane for a card like that. It doesn't have the supply. And in case you guys do know what Serra's Sanctum does, Serra's Sanctum lets you tap for 1 white mana for each enchantment you have in play. This card was underutilized for years, but after the invention of Theros and all these enchantment cards we started seeing, and as Wizards of the Coast has expanded the enchantment lands and expanded enchantments in general, various casting costs and color hues, then this card became more popular. It is on the reserve list. It used to be a $40, $50 card, and now it's hundreds of dollars, and it's likely to shoot up again. The market can't hold on to that type of market breadth of interest in the card. It doesn't have that big of a supply. And again, the players who own it don't usually sell it. So let's find out what happens with this card in the next 60, 90 days. But I generally think you're going to have to wait about a year for this card to kind of settle down and for some new stock to come to market. I'm sorry if you already missed the boat on this one. It is what it is. Let's take a look at our next card. Now, for this one here, you'll see this is Kaito. This is the Bane of Nightmares. Very interesting card. I like the concept, the visual art. That's fine. Now, it's still a forecasting cost. 1 blue, 1 black, 2 generic. It has ninjutsu, which is fine. The only thing I care about is the +1. The other things is great, that's fine. But the +1, you get an emblem with ninjas you control, get +1/+1. Now, I want you to think about that for a second. The +1/+1, of course, also he has other powers, like during your upkeep, as long as Kaito is 1 or more loyalty counters on him, he's a 3/4 ninja, okay, and has hexproof. And then you can surveil 2 and draw a card for each opponent who lost life this turn, and then you can tap a target creature and put 2 stun counters on it. But that +1/+1 ninja counter, the emblem, when you saw that, number one, Wizard of the Coast, thank God, has not come up with anything to get rid of emblems. The idea we've seen ninjutsu decks and ninja decks already in the last year and a half or so, especially with rats and stuff, means we have a real potential to see more of these. And with that color wheel, right, we're going to see a lot more of them being created, because being able to put an emblem out every turn means your ninjas are going to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, okay? Yeah, his side abilities are fine, and in some ways, he reminds me of Jace the Mind Sculptor. There's multiple powers there with multiple effects, okay? It's like they just kind of pumped him up to be the new Jace. So I look at that and I say, okay, what is this card going to do? How's it going to impact? How's it going to work in standard if we don't have a lot of ninjas or abilities to use him as a ninja? And how is the impact going to stress out further down the line? He is going to be sought after. He is not going to be a huge expensive card, but he's going to be a utility card that every ninja deck uses. And if we don't get a reprint in the next 5 to 7 years after this set rotates out, his price starts to go up. The market dictates it, but ninjas is a popular theme, and we know that they like to do this with commanders. That's another commander theme that they're expanding on inside of a standard format. Now, for our next card here, I want to show you guys is these new type of double up enchantments. They come in as whatever one you pay for, and then you can pay later, whatever you want, for that second one on your turn, okay? So the Doll Maker shop here. When you look at this card, it says for 1 white and 1 generic, whenever 1 or more non-toy creatures you control attacks, create a 1/1 toy artifact creature token. And then let's just say 4 or 5 turns later, it's your turn, and you go ahead and you pay the 6 to get the Porcelain Gallery. Now you also get the first effect, but you get the second effect. Creatures you control have base power and toughness, each equal to the number of creatures you control. This card is a totally new effect in the game. This card and the cards that will follow in its like, which means all the different colors they'll try to add in with these double effects, that is something to pay attention to. This reminds me of these new Level Up Saga cards that we've just had. The ones we just got in Bloomborough, the talents and stuff. Do not ignore these cards. If you see them cheap on pre-order, I myself am going to buy at least 4 of each, so I have them for standard if I need them. But I just have a feeling cards like this are going to have greater synergy down the line, and people aren't going to see it right away. So I'm paying attention to those cards in particular, because I just feel that that kind of expansion on what we've seen with the talent cards is going to kind of fit together, not only for standard, but also for commander. And for me as a player looking at that and realizing what Wizards of the Coast has done and how this can connect with cards in commander, it's always something to pay attention to. But we're not done. No, we're not done. Check out this card, guys. This is, of course, Valgavoth, the Terror Eater. 9 casting cost, 9/9. But this thing has flying, it has lifelink, it has ward, sacrifice 3 non-land permanents, or you can't even target the bad boy. If a card you don't control would be put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere, exile it instead. That's insane. And then during your turn, you may play exiled cards with Valgavoth. Okay, so any card that gets exiled with him, you can cast on your turn. If you cast a spell this way, pay life equal to its mana cost rather than paying its value. Now, when you look at that card, does that card scream to you to be used in standard, or is that a commander card? Where there's going to be tons of things on the battlefield, tons of crazy stuff going on. Not to mention that ward ability is almost like a reverse annihilator. Did you notice that? Like, you have to sacrifice permanents to even target him. It reminds me of the Eldrazi when they would attack with Annihilator. If they had Annihilator 3, you got to sacrifice 3 permanents. But these are non-land permanents. This guy's insane. He is going to see play. He can be sneak, cheated, put out as a commander card. But not only that, he was a demon, right? Remember, take a look at it again. Take a look. It's an Elder Demon. Now, take a look at the next card. This one here is Demonic Council. This one here says, for 1 black, 1 generic. Search your library for a demon card. Reveal it and put it into your hand, then shuffle. Okay. Delirium. If there are 4 or more card types among cards in your graveyard, instead search your library for any card and put it into your hand. So it could become like a regular demonic tutor if there was tons of cards in your graveyard already. or in a tribal demon deck, you are going to use this thing to go get bigger demons, okay? Now I want to show you the Valgavoth Terror Eater one more time because he also has a commander version of this card, and again, it's another type of demon, so you can have more than one type of the Valgavoth in your deck because he molts and gets rid of his skin. But when you think of all the demons out there, and let's not forget, Lord of the Rings Balrogs, they're demons too. And all the years and successive years we've had different types of demons, which there's not a whole tribal theme built into a single set, but there's enough demons out there that you can build some pretty amazing demon decks now. Adding these types of cards in gives you the synergy to get your demons easier. It means you augment the deck with better demons. There's a lot going on for Commander in that. It may not be utilized in Standard that much, but you are going to see this as a new type of Commander themed deck really come to the forefront. It lets you know that Wizard of the Coast is keen on having that synergy be created to boost sales in more than one market space. It lets you know that the prices of certain types of demons are likely going to rise, at least for the short term. Most demons created, of course, are not going to be on the reserve list, but it's still something to keep in mind because there are some older cards that may be sought after in conjunction with this. Guys, there's a lot going on when you look at Duskmourn. I can't wait to look at more of the spoilers. I actually think it's a great set so far. I'm really impressed with the cards I've seen, the artwork, the concept. Yeah, some of the Ghostbuster stuff doesn't really fit in, and the other stuff, the 80s theme, and some of the products they're trying to sell to get into the market may not be keen for me because of the price points they put these at. Now, also as a side note, I do like the fact that that buy box promo is going to be a collector booster pack. I do like the idea of that. I think it's kind of nice. But at the same time, let's not forget they raised the prices on this product. It is a little bit higher, and this is almost like throwing you a bone to say, yeah, sorry, we had to raise the price a bit. Here's a few cards just in case. It's not a bad bone to throw. This set looks good. There's good stuff inside. I still think the singles market is going to rule the day on this particular product, but time will tell when we see more of the cards being given to us and how they are going to fit with things like Bloomburrow. This is going to be nutty, guys. We're going to see some crazy decks coming around based on what we've seen so far. So anyway, thanks a lot for joining me. Thanks for being here on the channel. A reminder at this point that if you enjoyed today's content, you liked hanging out with the Moxman, subscribe to the channel. Join up, guys. Be here. I put out new content every single day of the week. I love having these conversations with you guys, and it's just amazing to be here. So I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow with another video. Have a fantastic day, and remember, shop smart, shop S-Smart. Hey guys, a big shout out and thank you to the fantastic patrons of my channel. Because of my patrons, daily uploaded content is created every single day of the week, 365 days a year, and it's just epic to be here every day. Now, if you want to become a patron, you have to find a spot. There may be one on my Patreon page. And of course, if you want to join up and be a YouTube membership member, show that support, join in guys, and help me out. Thanks again, everyone. Okay. I almost want to sit down for this. Welcome back to the Ramble Jamble. I'm going to tell you something. I can't really look up emails right now. I'm sure I can tell you, though. I don't think I'm in trouble for this. How many people watch this end video? All right, you know what? Hold on. I don't normally do this, guys, but I got to check this out. I'm just reading. Hold on. I wasn't going to do this. It's too late. Okay. We're good. We're good. So, as soon as that enchantment land came up, Serra's Sanctum started taking off. I knew it would. I looked the first 30 minutes and had like 8, 9, 10 sales because it's still an expensive card, don't get me wrong. When I started seeing some damaged copies sell, that was something. When a couple of stores reached out to me and sold, hey, you know, somebody just bought 4 Serra's Sanctum. Is that something going on? I had to email back and tell them that they maybe want to adjust the price a little bit faster, maybe take them off the shelf and wait a day or two. You got to be proactive. But then I got an email, and that's why I had to check that email. They didn't say I couldn't. The email said as soon as they saw it, they bought, it's a lot, guys. They bought 40. They are not in Canada. They're not in the US. They're overseas. They bought 40 from various sites. And about 2 hours after they ordered it, half the orders got canceled. They're not happy. I'm not going to put this as a whole video, but I'm going to mention it here. Some stores just want, you know, they got to think of it themselves and they want that money. And when they see something spiking like this and realize they could be losing out, so half your orders get canceled, that's pretty bad. The ones he paid more money for are the ones that went through. The lower value ones are the ones that got canceled. Just so you guys know, things go crazy. And it's always good to stay ahead of the market. And when Serra's Sanctum was lower is when people should have been buying it. You don't have to wait for a set to come along. You have to look at the long game. Buy low, let it drift into your world, your sphere, and then let it go out later on at a higher price if you're trying to speculate or if you think you're going to use it later in life. That's what I'm trying to do for the channel right now, and hopefully we get there sooner rather than later. I'll probably have that spreadsheet put together at some point so patrons can now start viewing the cards I'm adding, and I'll probably just update it as we go along somehow on the Patreon page. I have to figure out how to do that, but I'm sure you can do it. There's got to be a way. All right, thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for hanging out, and I will see you guys soon. Enjoy the day, Duskmourn. It's going to be